Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I am reviewing this little beauty here, which is the Celine Nino bag. I'm going to be going over how I'm liking it so far, pros, cons, what can fit inside, some mod shots, and hopefully anything that you might want to know about this gorgeous bag. So I hope you guys enjoy this and let's get started. So as a little overview, this is Celine's newest bag. This, I believe, is supposed to be replacing the belt bag, which to be honest, I'm not so sure about because it doesn't really look that much like the belt bag to me, but it's a similar kind of style. So this is the Nino bag, not the Nico bag as I was calling it, and I don't even know how many times I had read the word Nino, and you know when it just doesn't quite register until so many of you were like, Amy, it's the Nino bag. I don't know what got into my head. I was just full on crazy, but it is the Nino bag. It is priced at £2,650, I believe that's in GBP, and I will pop the USD price on screen. So it's certainly not a cheap style, but then again, nothing from Celine is really that inexpensive. But I do think it is absolutely gorgeous. As soon as I saw it, I was really excited about it, and it has a nice kind of combination of being a very kind of classic style and silhouette while still feeling fairly fresh and not overly stuffy, and I think that is in large part due to the beautiful leather. Most of the styles I see in this kind of shape and size with the top handle do tend to be a little bit stiffer in terms of the leather and the structure. This is still a very structured bag, but the leather is incredibly soft and supple, and it really just makes the bag stand out and feel completely different to everything else I have. And I just think it's absolutely stunning. So I've had this bag for a little bit over a month now, so by no means a huge amount of time. And to be honest, I wouldn't usually do a review this quickly, but I've had so many messages about this bag, and I do get all the interest because I think it's absolutely stunning. Because of the short amount of time, I'm not going to be going into too much detail about the wear and tear because obviously there's not that much you could learn about a bag after only 1 month. But I do feel like I've used it enough to get a good sense of its pros, its cons, and any other kind of aspects of the bag that you might want to consider. So for a start, it is incredibly comfortable to wear, and that's kind of what took me by surprise the most. I have a few other bags in this kind of size range. The Louis Vuitton Capucine bag really kind of comes to mind, but this is really comfortable to wear, and part of that is because of the leather as well. It's also very well considered in terms of the ways that you can wear it. The top handle is very nice. It fits beautifully in your hand. It has a nice little handle drop as well, and then you do have that longer strap as well, and even though it is on the thinner side, it still feels very sturdy. It is adjustable as well, so you can adjust it according to your height and how you like your strap drop, and the leather is also very soft, so it fits very comfortably on your shoulder. Sometimes leathers are just a little bit hard, and that really does impact the comfort level, whereas this is so incredibly soft and it really does lead to a very comfortable carrying experience. You do have beautiful feet right there on the bottom, and then you have that stunning Celine logo right there, which acts as the clasp as well. To open it, you just pinch it on both sides and then it releases open like so. And then on the inside, you have 2 wide compartments with a divider right there in the middle. Then you have an open pocket right there on the back, and then you have 2 open pockets right there on the front as well. A divider usually isn't my preferred kind of method of organizing a bag, just because I feel like it really does limit the space and capacity, but you don't really have that problem with this bag because actually it is huge. Like, it fits a ton, and my nearest comparison I would say again is the Louis Vuitton Capucine bag. This fits so much more than this bag. I took this out on a date night with Dan. We had dinner and then we went to see a comedy show, and I had all my normal belongings in, but I also wanted to carry a bottle of water in there, popped it inside, and I was just blown away by how roomy it was and how much I can fit inside. So the capacity is huge. Obviously the divider does limit it a little bit, but because it's so roomy, I didn't really feel like it was an issue, and it can just fit a huge amount despite not feeling like an overly large bag. So I love how much can fit inside. Like, I was really impressed. I've got to say, I'm not a huge fan of the clasp. I do feel like it's a little bit fiddly, and opening it isn't really an issue, but closing it, you do have to line it up in a very specific way, and then when you get it just so, it does close with a little click right there. So It's not my favorite. This is the same clasp that is on the Celine Triomphe bag. Again, I'm not a huge fan of it on that either, but I do appreciate that it looks beautiful. For me, I just always like the ease of a magnetic closure or otherwise a turn lock. Not a huge deal, but it certainly isn't my favorite aspect of this bag. I would also say that my other kind of big bugbear with this bag is that it does tilt a little bit when you're just sitting it down, and I'm not really sure why that is, because looking at it, it would seem like it's pretty evenly balanced in terms of weight. Obviously you do have the clasp right there at the front, but I wouldn't have thought it would have the impact that it does seem to. There is also a chance that it's just my bag. I've not seen a ton of them to compare, but my one definitely does slant forward a little bit, which I don't love. It doesn't tend to topple over. It has done a couple of times, but usually that's because I haven't set it down completely evenly. So it's not a huge issue, but certainly my preference would be for it to stand completely upright when it's just kind of seated, and that's after all what you have the feet for as well. So I would definitely rather that was kind of a bit more balanced. That said, obviously it doesn't affect the usage when you're carrying the bag. It is really only something that you notice when you set it down. I did go for it in the light grey colour. I was debating between this and the black one. I did ask you guys for your opinion about which one to go for, and it was pretty evenly split between the two. The only reason I ultimately went for the grey was apart from the fact that I think it's beautiful, but I think both are really, really stunning. The black one in this kind of design felt a little bit more businesslike, and I wasn't really planning on wearing this as a work bag. It was going to be more of a casual bag for me, which is why I went for the light grey. But if you did want it for a workwear style, or if you just use a lot of black bags in general, I do think the black one is stunning. It does also come in the bronze as well, which is also a really, really lovely colour. And I just think in general it has the most elegant look. I love pretty much everything about the way it looks. Really, really timeless, and I just love the little accent details. I think the shiny gold hardware really does complement it, and I just think it's absolutely stunning. The wear and tear that I've noticed so far, so this one is obviously quite a light colour, so it is prone to getting a few marks on. So far, all of the marks I've gotten on this bag have just been wiped clean, so I've just gotten a little cloth and it's been absolutely fine. There's been nothing permanent so far. Sometimes when you do bend the leather or kind of hold it up against the hardware in a certain way, you do see a little dent forming, but so far all of the leather has just kind of sprung back whenever I have seen a little dent. So it does seem to be quite springy and malleable. I would imagine that would change if you left the bag on something sharp for an extended period of time. Obviously, I don't recommend doing that to any bag, but it definitely is something you're gonna have to keep in mind, that it is a softer bag. So far, that hasn't been an issue, but it is something I'm mindful of. Again, it is fairly structured despite being soft, but any loss of structure is something I'm going to keep an eye out for. I do also imagine, because the leather is so soft, I am going to see wear on the corners eventually. I will keep you guys updated on that, and if necessary I might do an updated review or kind of do a feature in another video, but I will keep an eye on that and let you know if I do see any wear and tear. It's too new for me to see anything like that at the moment, but I do expect to see a little bit of wear around the corners, especially because the leather is so soft. In terms of versatility, I do feel like Celine have nailed it with this one. I like the fact that it does look and feel like an incredibly smart bag, but it hasn't felt too out of place with my generally quite casual outfits that I've worn with it. It just feels like it strikes the nice balance of kind of upgrading and elevating what you're wearing without being so formal that you feel like you have to dress up to be able to wear it, if that makes any sense. So I really like that. I do think that the fact it comes with a nice long strap does help. I haven't really worn this crossbody, and to be honest, I think it's a little bit large to wear crossbody. I have popped it on the shoulder and I have been wearing it just top handle, and both ways are incredibly comfortable. In terms of the weight of the bag, it's definitely not a super lightweight bag, but I wouldn't say this is overly heavy. You obviously can't fit a laptop in here or anything like that, so you're going to be limited in terms of just how heavy you can make this bag, and obviously what you put inside really does have a big impact in terms of how wearable you find it. You can definitely feel some weight to it. You know, this isn't one of those bags where you feel it and you're like, gosh, it's like light as air. This isn't one of those styles, but for me, this is definitely not an overly heavy bag. I wouldn't consider the weight to be a detrimental aspect of the bag at all. For me, this is just kind of right in terms of feeling substantial enough to feel like a very nice, luxurious quality, whilst also not being so heavy as to make it uncomfortable. Okay, so sharing with you what can fit inside now, and I have filled this fairly full, but as you can see, there's still a little bit of room up there at the top, so I definitely could fit some more items in, but to be honest, I kind of ran out of smaller items to share with you. So inside I have a hand cream, I have a little reusable bag, I have a pair of sunglasses, I have a small perfume, I have a lipstick, I have a little coin purse, I have my passport and a passport holder, I have a full-size wallet, so this is the zippy wallet from Louis Vuitton, which is really quite large in terms of long wallets. I have a compact, and then I also have my phone in here as well. So as you can see, it can fit in a fair amount of items. When I've been using it, I've often been using it with a smaller wallet as well, so I can fit in some bulkier items. So with a little Victorine wallet right here, I just pop that in the back, and that leaves open the front pocket, or the front kind of compartment, which is a little bit bigger and more roomy than the back compartment. And so in this case, I can easily fit in a bottle of water without any issue, and there is still plenty of room to fit in whatever else I may need. So I've got my phone in there, a compact, perfume, a little bag, like whatever it is that you want to pop in, there is still plenty of room. I essentially swapped out the longer wallet for a smaller one, and then I was able to free up that space. You would also pop in an umbrella or whatever you may need, and it fits very, very easily as well. So that closes without any issue with still plenty of room. And now for the ultimate question of, do I think it's worth the price, and do I think it's going to be a classic style? So for me, I actually don't think that the price is too unreasonable, and I am by no means saying that the price tag is a bargain or super cheap, because it definitely isn't. It's a luxurious price bag for a luxurious bag. That said, I don't feel like Celine are really on the crazy end of all the price increases that we see all across the industry. Chanel are by far the worst offender, but there are so many brands that do really hike up their prices on a very regular basis. I don't feel like Celine are on the really bad scale of that. They do have price increases, but they do tend to be, not completely insane like Chanel's are. And I actually think that for £2,600, looking at what else you can get out there for that kind of money, I actually think this is a really lovely option. It's cheaper than a lot of the Dior styles. It's much cheaper than Chanel and Hermes. It's much cheaper than a lot of Louis Vuitton's models, even though this feels completely comparable quality. And I actually feel like it's an okay price for what it is, even though it is still very, very high. So I feel like Celine have priced this very well. Obviously, it's still a very expensive style, but it does feel like you're getting a very substantial bag for your money. It doesn't feel like it's a cheap style at all. I would prefer that it didn't lean slightly, but you're getting those feet on the bottom, you're getting a really beautiful clasp, you're getting that nice adjustable strap with the beautiful hardware. Like, they haven't cheaped out on this bag at all. I do really think it shows. And especially in that beautiful leather as well. Like, it feels like quality, and it really is a pleasure to hold. So for me, I do think it's been worth the price so far. I think it's a stunning style, and certainly when I do look at other items out there in the market, like, I don't think this is too crazy in terms of the price, and it's just been so gorgeous, and it really does feel like a beautiful quality bag. And now for the question of whether I think this is a classic style, and obviously I don't have a crystal ball, but I would say that Celine does have a very good track record of producing beautiful quality bags that have surprisingly good longevity, and quite a few of their bags have become it bags, and even so they have done very well in terms of staying power and really just looking like a classic style. So whilst I don't know if this bag is going to be a classic, it does have all the hallmarks of one. It has that really lovely top handle design. It's very, very functional. It's beautifully made as well. It has the lovely Celine logo right there. So if this did become a classic, it definitely wouldn't surprise me. And I think a lot is probably going to depend on the wear and tear. If it does do badly in terms of keeping its structural integrity, I do think that will probably have a negative effect on its longevity and just generally how classic it is. But providing that isn't the case, then I do think this has a decent shot of being quite a classic style. So who's to say, but I've really been enjoying this, and I do think it looks like quite a classic style, which really does have quite timeless appeal. So that wraps up this video, guys. I hope that you found it useful if you are considering this beautiful bag. Hopefully I answered any of your questions. If I didn't, feel free to leave me a comment down below. I will either try and answer you or try and cover it in a future video. If you enjoyed the video and found it useful, please give it a thumbs up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.